Well, our world is increasingly interconnected, and children are being introduced and exposed to global news, social upheaval, and even international conflicts at an earlier age than ever before. So, joining us now with some advice on how to navigate the world conflicts with our kids is our parenting expert, Katherine Sellery, who we love always having on the show. Welcome back there, Katherine.
So great to be back. So lovely to see you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. Very important thing that we're talking about. I'm so glad we are. Let's start off with your first tip that you offer, which is you should model calm behavior and compassion. What does that mean? And then how do we do it?
Yeah. So the last thing we want as parents is to let our own emotions overwhelm us and make our children even more upset. And kids pick up on everything we do, and they detect our fear, anger, confusion, sadness, everything. So having feelings relating to the conflict, of course, is normal. We need to acknowledge our own feelings, and this can help us model for them what it looks like to be concerned for other people without creating more anxiety and distress. And it also allows you to establish an honest relationship and dialogue with your children about how they're feeling and that it's safe to be vulnerable. So if your kids are having a difficult time processing their emotional response, this is a great time to teach them some practices like breathing techniques and pressure points and things that I can also teach and support them with.
It makes complete sense when you say that. Your next tip is actually, you say you should understand age-appropriate conversations. Now, why do we need to understand? Do we need to know when we should be talking about this, or will the kids even comprehend it? What does that mean?
So, keeping the details of the conversation within the territory that's cognizant of your child's age is of the utmost importance. But don't necessarily underestimate your child's ability to understand complicated topics, and be patient, direct, straightforward in your explanations. So, for example, you can start the conversation with a clear, unbiased representation of the relevant situation by saying something along the lines of, there are two countries or religious groups who disagree on whatever it is, and they're facing opposition. So this provides a good starting point to gauge where your child's level of understanding of this conflict is, and then you can dive in deeper. The historical, political, geopolitical, social context.
Is there any way that you know that maybe you're going too far off subject with them, or is there a way that so that you're corralling in the right information?
You can tell, right? So, you can see if your kids just sort of disconnect from you, right? Or if they start to feel really anxious, and then you can gauge how you respond based on, what you're picking up.
Okay, which actually leads us to your next tip, believe it or not, which is let the children lead the conversation. So I guess, are you waiting for them to come up to ask you, or do you just, when the conversation actually starts, encourage them to ask the questions?
Yeah, so if a child comes up to you or you're sensing that they're hearing something about it and you want to speak about this, then there is no one way, right, or right way for children to feel about any situation. So whether your child's upset, curious, just acknowledge and validate their feelings. So one way to make room for their thoughts is by asking them some probing questions about how they feel about the situation, letting them know you're interested in learning what's going on from their perspective. And keep in mind that some children haven't reached a conclusion. They don't know what their stance is or how they're feeling or what their perspective is. They may not feel comfortable talking about their feelings at all. So not everybody's ready to process their emotions using words. So we know this, you're always keeping an eye out for the cues and clues that could show you that a child is drowning in worry, even if they say, I'm fine.
Yes, and you say emphasize empathy and perspective talking. Explain that.
Yeah. So if if you feel confident that your child has a firm grasp on the basics of the conversation and you sense that they want to explore the topic with you further, it's okay to slowly move in the direction of more difficult aspects and elements, but make sure to keep letting your kids lead the conversation. This allows them to develop and internalize a deeper personal understanding. Think of yourself as the training wheels that they're using for the conversation by keeping the conversation focused, polite, making sure everybody feels safe and comfortable. You're kind of playing the role of the mediator if you have a child with a really strong opinion, and ask them to argue for the other side.
Oh, I like that. That's an excellent
idea.
Well,
what do you feel about that? Yeah, so everybody can start to become more involved in sharing feeling safe to share.
Absolutely.
And really, it's so important to address those more nuanced, opinionated, controversial parts with more care.
Katherine, you give us so much great advice. Thank you so much. And if you want more information, just visit freeparentingbook.com. Thank you, Katherine.